right, we're going to go 23 through 1 through 9. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be malicious witness. You shall not fall in with many to do evil, nor shall you bear witness in a lawsuit siding with the many, so as to pervert justice, nor shall you be partial to a poor man in his lawsuit. If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall bring it back to him. If you see a donkey of one who hates you lying down under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him. You shall not pervert the justice due to the poor in his lawsuit. Keep far from a false charge, and do not kill the innocent and the righteous, for I will not acquit the wicked. And you shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and subverts the cause of those who are in the right. You shall not oppress a sojourner. You know the heart of a sojourner, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Would you do verse 1 on this?
You shall not circulate a false report. Do not put your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness.
Okay. So we got the law from God in Exodus 20. All these are just expounding on that. And Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, 6, and 7, are expounding on these. Okay. So, you shall not spread is tisa. And it's lift up, carry, whether it's to receive or give. Circulate is probably a better good word. Don't circulate a false report. Okay, you can stop it from spreading because it was given to you. You don't have to go any further now. This is gossip, right? Okay. Okay, you shall not join hands with the wicked. That's rasha, and it's a crime guilty of or wicked, and the word, or let's see, to be a malicious witness. Malicious. Hamas. What's that sound like? It means violence, wrong, cruel, injustice. Hamas. Okay. So the leaders.
Isn't that something like when you're in court and you're in a jury and everybody else saying he's guilty and you're sitting there, well, he's not guilty, because I know he's not guilty. You don't join in with the crowd because the majority said that he's guilty.
Yeah, he's saying don't do that. Does anybody know somebody that happened to? Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, they were trying to drum up charges on him and trying to get a false report on him. And they sided with the majority and said crucify him, even though they couldn't find anything on him. Pilate said, I find no guilt in this man. Tiberius didn't find any guilt in this man.
No fault in this man.
Yeah. Crucify him.
Washed his hands of it.
Yep.
Yeah, he joined in with the crowd.
Yep.
Yeah, in the Jewish tradition, it required 2 witnesses. So if you had one that was saying that he was a witness, it wouldn't have flown with
That's
that.
right.
with
By
that
law, you
accusation.
can't.
Took another one. So if somebody else came alongside that person and professed a false prophecy or a false witness to do something to somebody else, maybe that's what he's talking about.
And that's what they finally convicted him on.
Yeah.
He said, you will surely see the Son of Man coming on clouds in judgment. That was a verse by Daniel that showed them God was coming. So they knew he called himself God. And they said, why do we need any more witnesses? You got all this. You heard him call himself God, and we know there's only one God. He's not it. But yet he was. And that's what got him accused. So by law, they did have more than one witness on that one. But the other ones, they couldn't. They were trying all they could to get 2 witnesses on it, wasn't they?
Well, they had a witness on what he said, but they didn't have the witness on proof of that he wasn't.
Yeah, but calling yourself God is blasphemy. unless you are. Yeah. All right, verse 2, would you grab that?
You shall not follow a crowd to do evil, nor shall you testify in a dispute so as to turn aside after many to pervert justice.
All right, so fall in with many, that's acher, and it means follow behind. Okay, when you have a leader, you're following. Don't follow the wicked leader. Okay, and the many is rabbin, that is rabbi. Okay, that means captain, elder, prince, master, or teacher. So don't follow your teachers that are leading you astray.
A good example of that is when Moses went up on the mountain and came back, and half of the group made an idol
Yeah.
calf.
Yep. Yep, everybody was,
I guess you might look at it at, they couldn't see Jesus, but they could see the golden calf.
yeah, they want to stay in the physical,
Yeah.
not walking in faith on something they couldn't see. Yeah. And we do that. I mean, when you feel like God's asking you to do something or go a certain direction, you're like, I can't see it. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know. It don't make sense to me. That ain't what God wants. He wants you just to step out and just say, yes, I'll do this, even though I don't understand. That's faith. When you know what the outcome's going to be because what you do, that's not faith.
Yeah, what's sad, what's interesting is that what Bob was talking about, the person that was really leading that was the high priest Aaron. Right?
That was needing to walk in faith.
And that was leading their walk away with the idol. Wasn't that Aaron that was doing that?
Well, Aaron went ahead and made the golden calf because they were trying to get him to do it. And he finally succumbed and said, yeah, I'll do it.
But he was the high priest, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I don't know if he was at that time. I don't know if he was made high priest at that time or after. I think he may have been given that position afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. I'm thinking, I can't remember when he officially was made high priest, whether it was before that event or after that event. So I don't know. But officially, he was a leader.
I'm wondering if that's a reflection in this too.
Well, he was a leader because Moses and him were both the leaders of the people. He was his brother, his older brother, by the way.
Aaron was told not to go up on the mountain,
Aaron was what?
wasn't he?
Aaron was what?
Was told not to go up on the mountain, only Moses was supposed to go up.
He and Moses went so far, and then Moses went further. Right?
I believe so. Wasn't he part of the 70 that went up, Aaron?
I think
Yeah, I don't remember.
Moses went the final.
Okay.
But he was the communicator between Moses and the people.
He was.
And this
Yep.
gold was probably gold that they walked out of Egypt with.
Oh, yeah.
Because they all had lots
Yeah.
of gold.
They had a lot of gold. To make the tabernacle stuff we're going to be looking at, God provided them with everything they needed to worship Him.
He said even the kids wore gold.
Yeah. Even the kids wore gold walking out.
Parents couldn't carry all of it, so they let the kids carry it.
It was like a joke I heard on the internet the other day. This guy wanted to take a suitcase of his wealth to heaven with him. And he got with Jesus and showed him everything he'd done. And Jesus says, okay, I'll let you bring your suitcase along. So I filled it up with gold bars. He died, he went to heaven. St. Peter met him at the gate. He said, well, what you got in the suitcase? And he opened it up. He said, oh, payment stubs.
Payment stubs?
Pavement for the streets.
Oh, okay, pavement. Okay. Pavement. All right. That all picture Christ. We're going to see that coming up. That pictures Christ, the gold. All right. So you don't follow a crowd or a leader who's been on wrong just because of their position, or you don't follow a majority just because of what they want to do. Okay. Verse 3.
You shall not show partiality to a poor man in his dispute.
Okay. Well, the word man isn't in the Hebrew, so cross that word out. Nor shall you be partial to poor in his lawsuit. And dal means weak, low, thin, or poor. Okay, and you shall not be partial is tadar. You shall not honor, adorn, glorify, swell, or be partial to. In his be ribo, in lawsuit. So his quarrel or dispute is what that would be. Okay, what is this showing you right here in this verse? You know, don't make,
just follow the righteous path.
right. Yeah, don't try to play a favorite or know that this guy's poor and pervert the law
To favor him.
in order to favor him, yeah. Okay, make a righteous judgment and a just law, and don't change it just because he's poor. His poor has nothing to do with what God is, God's law. Okay, verse 4.
If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall surely bring it back to him again.
All right, I think you guys can figure out what this one is.
If you see your son picking stuff up and putting it in his pocket in a store, you need to correct him and put it back to what he should do and put his stuff back on the shelf.
That's right.
The embarrassment would be more severe than a spanking on the bottom.
Yeah, we need to help them see they're wrong, and they're a kid.
I
They're
did that.
learning.
I did that to one of my kids.
All right, if you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, what's that? You should bring it back. If you meet your enemy's ox, you should bring it back. Going astray.
It's when your neighbor know what's going on.
Okay. Who's your enemy?
Pardon?
Who's our enemy?
Say,
All right. So, if his ox or donkey is going astray, you should bring it back to him.
is that a picture of someone testifying and bringing somebody that's lost it back into the fold?
I believe that is what this is picturing. Okay. And someone's enemy is not necessarily your enemy, right? Okay. And just because this guy is an enemy doesn't mean he's your enemy. Does that make sense?
Well,
Okay, he's your enemy, but you're not his enemy. Did I say that right? Okay. We're supposed to be like Christ and be a testimony to our enemies, right? Jesus said, love your enemies. And in fact, the Sermon on the Mount, I'm going to pull that in here in a minute. Okay, Israel does this continually. They get shot at, they get blown up, but yet they still help all those people around them, and they will take them in and give them medical, give them food, give them whatever they want and need to preserve their life and send them back home and let them go out of prisons and all kinds of stuff. They constantly do this. but yet they are constantly being attacked. Okay, so that's their enemy, but they don't want them to be their enemy. They're their enemy because they choose to be your enemy. Does that make sense? Okay, so in the Sermon on the Mount here, look at this. You have heard it said that you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. Did God ever say that? Where did hate your enemy come from then? Man,
I think we could do that all by yourself.
yeah. Yeah, someone hurt me, now you're my enemy. And I can go all the way down to cutting you off in traffic. I mean, now you're mad at the guy, he's your enemy. And you got a few words to say to him, but it shouldn't be that way. Okay? So, but I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. Well, who's the son of the Father in heaven? Jesus.
And that's what he forgave.
That's right. Father, forgive them while he was on the cross. Wow. So he's fulfilling this law right here. The one that he's expecting, hoping we will keep. Okay, so we are sons of God, the ones who believe. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the just and unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even Gentiles do the same? You therefore must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Okay. Ox or donkey, we know what that picture, don't we? Jew or Gentile, shor or hamar. So this is a standard for both of these people, whether you're a clean servant animal or an unclean servant animal. And going astray is toe. It's a wanderer or an error, stagger. Okay, who did that? Who was the first person who did that? Went to the land of wandering. Cain. Okay, so he went astray. And we're supposed to try to bring them back. He's following his father, Satan, who is our enemy. Not because we want him to be our enemy, because he chose to make us our enemy. But we should be trying to bring people back to God. And be nice to them. Treat them with kindness and love and respect, even when they don't do that to you. That's hard to do. I fail at that continually. I know I do. All right. Here's even a bigger explanation of this in Deuteronomy 22. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep going astray and ignore them. You shall take them back to your brother, and if he does not live near you, and you do not know who he is, you shall bring it home to your house, and it shall stay with you until your brother seeks it. Then you shall restore it to him. And you shall do the same with his donkey, or with his garment, or with anything that's lost by your brother, which he loses and you find. You may not ignore it. So this one here is talking about your brother, not necessarily your enemy. And you must do the same thing, right? If his ox or donkey is going astray, bring it back to him. If he loses the garment, his covering, bring it back. Okay, I think that's all picturing us, what Bob was saying, us restoring someone back. If a brother sins, call him back. If he doesn't listen, take it to the deacons or elders. If he doesn't listen, he goes to the church, Matthew 18, but it's trying to, and if he doesn't listen, then you treat him as an outsider, a sojourner. Even though he's not, you treat him that way, so he will recognize that there is a difference and want to come back. Does it make sense? All right, now a lot of people take that too far. It's not your position to take a dispute you have in front of the church. If someone's going astray and you don't say anything about it, you don't try to bring them back, you're guilty.
You're guilty.
try to restore them back. They may not even see what's going on, you know, they may not even realize. Sometimes, you know, we say things or do things that we don't realize that just hurt somebody else because you didn't even know. And, you know, you can say, you could have said that in a little different ways. I think that person was hurt. Well, now you've got to go apologize now. Okay. So anyway, help someone do what's right. 5.
If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying under its burden, and you would refrain from helping it, you shall surely help him with it.
Okay. If you see a donkey or one who hates you lying down under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him.
That doesn't make sense. If somebody's using a donkey to haul something, or an ox, or whatever, why isn't he with that animal?
Well, the donkey is lying down under its burden. You shall refrain
The donkey still
from.
has his pack on. You just letting the donkey wander around with his pack on? Normally somebody's there leaving it.
Right.
Well, but he's not, because you're gonna take it back to him and help the animal.
Okay, this one, you shall refrain from leaving it with him. You shall rescue it with him. Let me see what that's pulling up in the Bible Hub here.
Used to translate
Verse 5. Okay, if you see the donkey of one hates you lying under a burden. If you see one lying under a burden, a donkey lying under a burden. Donkeys are picturing who? Gentiles. So if you see a Gentile of one who hates you, could this be a servant of a Jew who's putting too heavy of a slave, a burden on his slave? And you refrain from helping it, surely you shall help him with it. You shall help him. What's up? That word him may not be in there. Huh. I don't know. I don't know how to parse that out. That word him, is that really in there? I don't know. It's second person masculine singular. So it probably would be. I don't know. That's a good question. So if you see the donkey, and that's the, not a, if you see the donkey. So usually when you use that definite article, it's pointing you to something. You want to keep that in mind. If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying under its burden, and you refrain from helping it, surely you shall help him with it.
That always ties in with the Good Samaritan.
That does.
The guy on the road.
That does.
It's kind of the same situation, like there was the donkeys that were made.
Very good.
And the one that, the Samaritan was also a Gentile. I mean, the one he helped was a Gentile.
That is exactly what I think it's explaining. Yes, you shall help him, even though he's a Samaritan, a Gentile. Oh man, see? I love it. All right.
Is there also a little picture of Jesus with his cross too, when that, Joseph of Arimathea, was it, came and helped him carry the cross?
That was Simon of Cyrene.
Simon Cyrene.
Mm-hmm.
If you fall in a pit, if your neighbor falls in the pit, aren't you supposed to be able to help him get out of that pit?
Yep. Yep, all this is tying into all that. Help people with burdens, on them. Okay, Matthew 23, 1-4, Jesus even says this. He says, "Then Jesus said to the crowd and to his disciples, the scribes and Pharisees sit on the seat of Moses, so practice and observe what they tell you, but not what they do. For they preach, but do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear," which is what? Laws. Laws upon laws upon laws. "And lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move them with their finger." So these burdens are laws and rules, and there's the seat of Moses. That's up in Chorazin. They found one up there, and this is where they sat and read the scrolls and preached. And when they read the word of God from this seat, Jesus is telling you, listen. When they read and they sit in the seat of Moses and read, listen and obey, but don't do what they do, because they don't obey. Okay. Another fitting verse that I'm going to bring in here is Galatians 6, 1-2. "Brothers, if anyone is caught in a transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him." That's what all this is about. "In the spirit of gentleness, keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. Bear one another's burden, and so fulfill the law of Christ." And when you see someone under burden, help them. Okay? Even your enemy. Because you're going to show them the love of Christ in doing so. And you're not his enemy, even though he's your enemy. All right. Here's another one. "You shall not see your brother's donkey or ox fallen down by the way and ignore them. You shall help him lift them up again." All right. Here's something that I kind of wanted to bring into this, and when I was doing my studies, I remembered is I was listening to a sermon or something, I can't remember where this is from, but he was a pastor, and while he was learning, he had a teacher or a pastor that, they went to the restroom, and the guy started cleaning the bathroom stalls and everything. And he's like, "Hey, we got a janitor that does that we pay to do that. You don't have to do that." And the pastor said, "Hey, you don't understand. A Christian will always leave something in a better way than when he found it." And he said, "Man, that was a light bulb going off. A Christian will always leave something in a better way than when they found it in." And that's what's, I think you can tie in with this stuff. Okay, check this out. Verse 29 of Luke 10. "But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, 'And who is my neighbor?' Jesus replied, 'A man going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers who stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance the priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took the care of him. And the next day he took 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, and take care of him, and said, 'Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay when I come back.' Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers?" And he said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus says, "You go and do likewise." That was a perfect connection, Mel. A perfect explanation of what's going on there. And one thing I want to bring up here too, since we just got done with Christmas, guess what this word here for "in" is? In Greek, it's pandokion. And this inn has an innkeeper. But the end that people want to translate in Matthew, when Jesus is born, in what, Matthew 2 or Luke 2, whatever it is Cataluma. And Cataluma is upper room. Okay, this is Luke. So it's in Luke because he uses a different word in Luke 2 than he uses here. So these are not inns with an innkeeper. And now everybody thinks by the little Christmas stories that they just got to Bethlehem in the nick of time and they had an innkeeper that was a mean old innkeeper, wouldn't let them. There was no innkeeper. Okay? He would have used Pandokion if that's what it was.
It may have been a relative's house in the upper room in the relative's house that we're talking about.
Yes, that's right. And that's what Cataluma means, upper room. Guess where Jesus had his Last Supper? The Cataluma upper room, guest house, guest quarters. Okay, verse 6.
You shall not pervert the judgment of your poor in his dispute.
Doesn't that sound like a verse we just dealt with? There's probably a chiasm in here. Usually when they sound real close together and you have them sound like that, there's a chiasm. But this one is a little bit different. You shall not pervert the justice of the poor in his lawsuit. Okay, and that's a different word. This poor is eboneka, comes from ebon, and it means needy, want. So if you have someone that's needy and want, it's different than that word we used up earlier, which was dal, and it means weak, poor, thin, low. There's two ways to understand this verse. Don't pervert justice, even if you know he's poor, needy, and you want to help him. That's got to be hard to do. You know what? If you're wanting to help this person, here's a relation too. I remember a story about a judge having this poor guy that came and he owed a fine of some sort that he couldn't pay. And I don't even really think it was him. I don't even know if he was the one totally responsible for it or not. I can't remember. But the judge was a fair judge and a righteous judge. And he still, by law, had to make a judgment on that. And he found him guilty. But then the judge paid the fine that set the guy free from that judgment because he had compassion on him. Wow.
You think about what's happening today, if some rich, powerful person does something wrong and get caught on it, they just pour billions of dollars to their lawyers and they get them off of it. You know, they find some little technicality
Right.
that relates back to this perfectly.
Yep. So you can see how all these are being used. We can use these today. They're a spiritual understanding. So don't neglect bringing justice to the needy, but don't neglect the justice also, okay? Jeremiah, let me close with this. Jeremiah is using this same analogy. Like a cage of full birds, their houses are full of deceit. Therefore, they have become great and rich. They have grown fat and sleek. They know no bounds in deeds of evil. They judge not with justice the cause of the fatherless to make it prosper, and they do not defend the rights of the needy. Okay? They're not being accused of perverting justice to help the needy. They're being accused of overlooking them altogether. Okay? And that's a violation of this command. Okay, just because you're poor doesn't mean you don't get justice. You get justice. All right, so let's end here. Let's pick up in verse 7 next week where we left off, and we'll get into the tabernacle here in the next chapters and start building the tabernacle and the ark and all that, how all that pictures Christ. There's a lot of stuff on that. I've got several books I'm dealing with, and there's a lot of info tying all that back to Christ. In fact, it's going to be so much I'm going to have to leave stuff out just because it will be too much.
You know, I postponed giving those notes that I had for the tabernacle because I felt like there's something missing. There's something else I need to add to it. Plus, there was like a whole bunch of people that couldn't come anyway. So
Okay.
I thought, I'm just gonna put it off till the next time, so I'm still working on that tabernacle.
Okay. All right. Anyone like to close us in prayer?